Hello there, I'm Big Alias. Good evening. I just want to get this straight off the bat. I want to get this off my chest and say immediately, I'm not good at this game. I am not too good at the game that you're watching right now. So say your comments, go for it, because I'm not going to be able to push back. I know that I'm not good at this game, and I haven't posted good gameplay. Hopefully, giving my opinion on this game will shed some light as to why, but I also kind of don't think so. So, for anyone who doesn't know, this is Valorant. This is the phenomenon that is Valorant. It's now come to consoles, so I've been able to give it a shot because I'm not a PC gamer. And I just want to say this straight away. This is not my type of game. As a matter of fact, I really don't like this type of game. I'm not a fan of this game, but I've been looking for an opening into this style of game for a long time because it's so beloved and such a huge deal, and it's like a type of game that people absolutely adore, and I just can't figure it out. So I thought that Valorant could potentially be my access point to this. It's a console game, and I wouldn't have to play it on the PC, so that's a great initial entry point. Is hugely popular, so let's give it a go. Alas, nah. Here's why I'm not a fan of this game. There's a couple of major things with sort of subcategories. So firstly, and this is the least major of the two, I don't like the way this game looks. I'm not a fan of the art style. I know I'm not a graphics guy overall. I understand, that, like, I can appreciate good graphics, but I also understand how much more important it is for a game to have a unique and interesting art style. There's a reason, games like Minecraft, which looks like a game that, an old Sega game that you found and had to dust off in the attic of Robin Williams' home. It still was hugely successful and one of the most successful games ever made, and that's because it looks so unique and so creative. And a similar thing could be said for Fortnite. It didn't look great, but they lent so heavily into the cartoon art style that it was still instantly recognizable and a great looking game, regardless of the fact that it didn't objectively look great. Here we don't have that. This isn't the case here. This looks very generic, free to play. It's very over the top cartoony with like bad shadows and bad textures. And the thing is, you get a lot of that from games like Overwatch, but Overwatch leans so heavily into its art style and has such a brilliant art style that actually tricks you into thinking that the game is actually good looking. This is not happening. This is not an interesting looking game, not an interesting looking universe to me. The characters I can take or leave, don't really care about them at all. I really did not get sucked into that, and so that didn't matter to me, and I understand that's an important part of the game. A game like this, a hero shooter, it's an important part of it. The second more egregious thing is the gameplay. Again, it's similar to the presentation. Gameplay, it doesn't have to be utterly incredible as long as it's doing something that you're not going to get from other games. A game like Among Us, it's poor graphically, and it's not got like exceptional depth in terms of the gameplay. Witcher, it is not, but it's a unique game that brought something different to the table. Therefore, people lapped it up and had a great time with it, and unfortunately got bored of it very quickly. But another example of a very similar thing would be Fall Guys, something like that. A game that brings something new to the table or messes with the formula in an interesting way. Valorant doesn't do this at all. This game is essentially Counter-Strike with the abilities of Overwatch, and both of those things are very much muted and less interesting than they are, in terms of the counterparts. The gameplay itself is okay, but tremendously dated. Really, really dated. And I'm not sure there's an excuse for this. A game is made by Riot Games, which is, they make very popular games, and from what I can tell, a very lucrative studio, so I really don't know why this is the case, but it feels like a Source Engine game made in 2007. It really, really feels old and cranky and haggard. And again, this was the case with a game like PUBG in 2016, but PUBG brought something new to the table. I just don't see it here. You move faster with a knife. Oh, well, you do that in Counter-Strike. If you die, then you have to wait for the end of the round. Well, that's the case in Counter-Strike. If you crouch, you have better aim. Well, that's the case in Counter-Strike. It's a Counter-Strike skin but Counter-Strike got there first. There's more content, and it's, in my opinion, a more interesting looking game, and it's just derivative. I don't really have to say anything else about it. And the issue there is that I also don't like Counter-Strike. This is where it comes into the subjectivity. So I'm not going to get subjective in this review, but to be honest, the objective stuff was tremendously negative. I hate these styles of games. I really, really don't like these styles of games. I know I haven't played pretty much any Counter-Strike, so I don't know if it's better here somehow, but in this style of game, I remember I played Crossfire X and I played this, and in both of those situations, I just had a miserable time, and I had a really miserable time playing Valorant. I didn't enjoy myself at all, in terms of the main game type, which is that you die and then you don't respawn. This game fortunately does have team deathmatch, which for me is the game's saving grace, and I'll get into that in a second. But in the case of this, my experience is I spawn in, I wait, I buy a weapon, I run up to the shield thing, run out. The moment I spot an enemy, they just one tap me and I'm gone. I'm just dead. That one hit and I'm done. I don't know how they do it. I don't think it's fun. I'm not enjoying myself. I don't know how they know that I'm there instantly. And the issue with a game like this, and I know that I'm alone on this because they're very popular games, but I understand that they've learned something that I haven't, and there's a skill curve, and my job now is to learn that too. But when I just pop out and die, I don't want to take the time to learn how to be good at this game. The games that I have learned how to be good at in the past, games like Titanfall or Halo Infinite, things like that, and way back Call of Duty. The reason I wanted to study those games and get better at those games is because every time I respawned, I got another chance to attack, and I don't feel that way with this game. I'm just running out, getting shot, and pulling out my phone and just checking it, which is why I think games like this are so popular nowadays, because nowadays people are so distracted, and it's very popular with streamers, because streamers will then check their chat. They'll see what people are saying, so it gives them that little breath afterwards, in order for that to work. In terms of team deathmatch is the only place where I actually kind of enjoyed myself here. Not because the game is good, not because the gameplay is good, but because it's so old and old-fashioned that I got a little bit nostalgic, genuinely, for this game that came out, 2-3 years ago, something like that. This game came out when I was in my late 20s, and playing it now, I feel nostalgic, so much so that I think that little skull, when you get a kill, that little thing at the bottom, I think that's the very similar one to the one that they used in Crossfire back in the day, in 2009, which is a game that I did used to play when I was younger, and it feels tremendously nostalgic playing this game, despite the fact that it was made so recently, purely because it's so weak and so old-fashioned that it just makes me feel as though I'm a teenager again playing Crossfire for the first time. So that actually was kind of fun, but there are only 4 maps for team deathmatch, and the maps themselves, very blocky, geometric, uninteresting, because they have to be in order to facilitate the very tactical one life gameplay. In terms of other positives, it has traditional leveling. Takes a bit too long to level up, but I appreciate that. You get XP in the game, and when you're done, your level goes from 1 to 2 to 3 to 4. Traditional, great. It has some overall some cool name card things, lots of heroes, and I'm pretty sure a free-to-play game. The leaderboard is a normal traditional leaderboard, and I appreciate that. That's about it though. That's about it. I mean, the gameplay is serviceable, it's fine, it's not like an overly buggy or broken game, and I appreciate that. I will say I had an update a day after I downloaded this game, and I'm pretty sure I downloaded it on the day of release, so that kind of sucks. Oh, and another thing for the pile of negatives, by the way, my god, the game just lasts too long. Jesus Christ, 14 rounds? 14 wins, not 14 rounds, 14 wins. I played a game where we got absolutely trounced. I think it was 14 for 5. That game lasted 20 minutes. 20 minutes of predominantly watching other people play a game that I downloaded. Okay, I'm going to put a abbreviated score on this game. Here it is. And this score doesn't necessarily count. It's not going to go towards my like bundle of scores. It doesn't matter. It's just overall how I felt about the game if I had to put a score on it. I probably won't come back to this game, honestly, after this review. I'm going to go gather some footage and then that will be it. I probably won't touch the game again because I just didn't enjoy myself with this one, I'm afraid. Okay, I'll see everyone later.
The PlayStation is only $149, and you can also get leading titles.